हाय दोस्तों, आज हम देखने वाले हैं द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन। तो आइए, वीडियो को देखने से पहले अगर आप इस चैनल पे न्यू हैं तो सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और बेल बटन को प्रेस कीजिए। तो आज हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। तो आज सबसे पहले हम देखेंगे फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का कॉज। फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में मेन 3 कॉज वो है। फर्स्ट उनकी 3 एस्टेट्स, फिर पॉलिटिकल कॉज एंड इकोनॉमिक कॉज। फिर हम देखेंगे कि उसमें क्या क्या हुए थे। उसमें सब्सिस्टेंस क्राइसिस, टेनिस कोर्ट ऑट, प्रेजेंट पेसेंट रिवॉल्ट, स्टॉर्मिंग ऑफ बेस्टेज, ब्रेड लेऑफ्स। तो आइए हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। फिर और मेन हम इसमें देखेंगे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, एज ऑफ टेरर, जैकोबिन्स, डायरेक्टरी, वुमेन रिवॉल्यूशन ऑफ और नेपोलियन बोनापार्टे के बारे में देखेंगे। तो फर्स्ट हम देखते हैं कि फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन का कॉजेस क्या था। फर्स्ट, फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में इनइक्वालिटीज थी। देखिए, इनइक्वालिटीज थी। फिर डेप्ट था। फ्रेंच पेरिस में बहुत सारे डेप्ट थे। फिर रेजिंग ऑफ फूड प्राइसेस थे। तो आइए हम एक बार एक देखते हैं। पहले फ्रेंच सोसाइटी was divided into 3 estates: first estate, second estate and third estate. First estate were the members of church. They were the clergy people. Then second estate, they were the nobility, who were the kings uh, and big businessmen. They were privileged classes. फिर third estates. So from small businessmen, lawyers, and everyone else, from peasants in the country to wealthy merchants in the cities. They don't have any privileges. The first estate, clergy people. So they were the bishops. As I told, they have high they had high privileged powers. The second estate, nobility. They were the kings and queens. The main means the third estate. There were 26 million citizens, including peasants, artisans, merchants, manufacturers, bankers and lawyers. तो ये सब थोड़े वेल्थी थे, पर जो पोअरेस्ट था वो थे जर्नीमैन, सर्वेंट्स, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्कर्स, स्ट्रीट सेलर्स ऐसे। तो बस फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये है कि फर्स्ट 2 एस्टेट जो है वो टैक्स पे नहीं करते थे, सिर्फ थर्ड एस्टेट को ही पे करना पड़ता था। ये पहला इनइक्वलिटी में आता है। तो आप इस पैटर्न को एक बार जरा से देखिए तो आपको दिखेगा कि कितना इनइक्वालिटी होगा। What does this pattern explain? Your time is up. Now let's see. ये जो पहला आदमी है ये हमारा फर्स्ट स्टेट का किंग वगैरह, और ये सेकेंड स्टेट का है, और देखो ये तीनों फर्स्ट और सेकेंड स्टेट के हैं। और ये इंसान थर्ड स्टेट का। देखो कितने नीच तरह से इन्होंने ऐसे कर रहे हैं। Now let's see political causes. Yeah. The French monarchy was occurring between 1775 to 1793. So Louis XVI, he was the 16th king of France and the last king. So he was married to Mary Antoinette, who was a Austrian princess. He was belonging to the Bourbon family and he was married to Mary Antoinette when he was 20 years old. He ruled as an absolute monarch. He had maintained a huge army and built a big extravagant court in the immense palace of Versailles, which drained the wealth of France. तो वर्सेल्स का मीनिंग है पैलेस। तो उस पे उस जमाने के पैलेस लू 16 का पैलेस एरिया। तो हैव अ लुक। How large? To maintain these palaces itself, it took large money. So, there was a political body known as Estate General, to which three estates sent their representatives to discuss contemporary issues. However, the monarch alone could decide when to call a meeting of the body. The last time it was done in 1614. This is the Estate General, the hall. Each estate had one vote, irrespective of the number of the representatives. The estate general had power to increase the taxes. Third estate's main problem is representation. Largest group with only one vote in estates general. Third estate wanted each person's vote to count. To protest the unfair voting, the third estate tells the king to get laws and they make their own government, calling themselves as National Assembly. Now let's see the French economic cause, which led to subsistence crisis. French economy was based on revenue from land and feudal system. Feudal system is nothing but the three estate system. During War 16, France had 2 billion livres debt. As debt, the government charged huge taxes from third estates. In 1776, France held 13 American colonies to gain their independence from Britain. This added more than a billion livres to a debt of 2 billion livres. Already they had 2 billion livres for maintaining the courts, reversals, and everything, and a huge army. Now, because they held 13 American colonies to get independence from Britain, they got one more billion livres as debt. Lenders who gave the state credit now began to charge 10% increase on loans. The French government spent 43% of its budget on interest payments alone. Now let's see what led to subsistence crisis. The population of France rose from 23 billion in 1715 to 28 billion in 1789. This led to a rapid increase in demand of food grains. Production of grains could not keep pace with the demand. This led to inflation. Things became worse whenever drought or hail reduced the harvest. तो हम देखेंगे सब्सिस्टेंस क्राइसिस का मेन रीजन क्या था। पहले population was small. Second point, the rate of the food grains what was increased. Then third drought epidemics and that all. And now let's see tennis court out. Tennis court. Then they met at a nearby indoor tennis court and they swore never to separate until the creators created a constitution. Great for present reward. Rumors that the king and nobles were sending their military to attack peasants, pillage their land and put down the revolt. The third estate acted on a rumor that the king was planning to a military coup against the national assembly. The third estate attacks the Bastille. Bastille is nothing but the fortress jail. Because it has gunpowder and weapons they need to fight for revolution. Storming the Bastille. 18 were died, 73 people were wounded, 7 guards were killed. It held 7 prisoners, ordinary criminals, and madmen. Bread in riots. People were hungry. The country was broke. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." You can see how this is Marie Antoinette's necklace. It costs 1.6 hundred million $100 million today. Oh my god. Now we are going to see the philosophers of that time in the French Revolution. John Locke, Voltaire, Rousseau. So 17th and 18th century was the age of enlightenment. Various philosophers put forward their theories for the state to be based on equality and freedom. John Locke, in his two treatises of government, sought to refute the doctrine of divine and absolute right for the monarch. Rousseau proposed a form of government based on a social contract between people and their representatives. In the spirit of laws, Montesquieu, Robert, John Locke, Rousseau are the main important philosophers. Montesquieu proposed a division of powers within the government between legislative, executive, and judiciary. National symbols of France. This is a broken chain, which stands for becoming free, and bundle of ropes that tells the strength lies in unity. Then the lights of the sun will drive away the clouds of ignorance. Symbol of royal power. Symbol of eternity. Red pigeon cap. Cap worn by slave on being free. Blue, white, red cap. The national colors of France. These are main important. The winged woman, personification of law. Reformers made by National Assembly. Why did the National Assembly seize lands from Catholic Church? The National Assembly limited the authority of the king and divided the government into three branches: executive, judicial, and legislative. Political. Declared all males were equal before the law, limited the power of the monarchy, established a legislative assembly to make the laws and collect taxes, granted all tax-paying male citizens the right to elect members of the legislative assembly. Main thing, after the French Revolution, they got the women were not allowed to vote. reforms and changes made to fix. And the main two reformers were Abysses and Mirabeau. Please note it. Now, the National Assembly created the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, approved by National Assembly of France, August 26, 1789. Liberty. The slogan of French Revolution was Liberty, Equality, and Fraternity. This gave people freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, of guarantee of property rights, right to fair trial, right of the people to create laws, liberty, equality, and fraternity. The new legislative assembly is created to make laws, collect taxes, and decide on issues of war and peace. Although Louis XVI signed the constitution, he entered secret negotiations with Austria and Prussia. Neighboring countries were worried. National Assembly National Assembly voted in 1792 and declared war against Austria and Prussia. Storming of Paris in Paris. On August 9, 1792, nearly 30,000 French citizens attacked Prussia and Austria, found Louis XVI and his family hiding, were arrested, and king was guillotined. Louis head Louis XVI's head. This is a guillotine. So this has a blade in the surrounding it. Here they keep their head. Here it is a small place so that this knife will cut their head. See how this guillotine. Political cut. Women, as I told you, women were not allowed to make voting right. The early members were Mirabeau and Abysses. Jacobins were otherwise called as sans-culottes. Maximilien Robespierre, and this is Maximilien Robespierre, the reign of terror, and Abysses. Leader of Jacobins, Maximilien Robespierre was born. This is the Jacobin Club, the Sans-Culottes and the Bourgeois. Different social classes. During the reign of terror, 7% was clergy, 8% was nobility, 25% was middle class, 28% was peasants and farmers, and 31% were working class. The reign of the new calendar was adopted. Years were numbered from September 22, 1792, the first day of French Republic, and not from Christ's birth. On July 26, Robespierre gives a speech. Jacobins lost power, begins to control to the national conviction. Passions became frenzy, inflation increased. After the reign of terror, there was another system called the Direct. So the reign of terror we will see in a very detailed way in our next video, and the Benetri we will see in a very detailed way, and the Napoleon Bonaparte we will see in detailed way in another video. So subscribe our channel. Now we will see the woman revolution. Okay? The woman revolution. 16 women clubs came up. Society of Revolutionary Republic women was famous. Same political rights as men. Right to vote, to be elected to the assembly, to create state schools, and to make education compulsory for girls. These were the women struggled a lot to get these rights. Girls should not be forced to marry against their will. Marriage should be registered under civil law. Divorce was made legal. Women needed training for jobs and to run businesses. Women movements continued for next 200 years for voting rights and equal wages. In 1947-46, women of France got voting rights. And the abolition of slavery. Slavery was a profitable business as in Europeans were reluctant to work in far off places, so they wanted slaves to work in plantations. Slave trade started in 17th century. Triangular slave trade existed between Europe, Africa, and America. When sailed from ports of Bordeaux and Mantis to Africa to buy slaves. Here is Nantes and here is Bordeaux. Their slaves were packed tightly into ships for 3 month voyage through the Atlantic to the Caribbean. They were sold to the plantation owners. Throughout the 18th century, there was a little criticism of slavery in France. The National Assembly held long debates it, but it did not pass any laws. Fearing opposition from businessmen whose incomes depended on slave trade. Conviction after long debates in 1794 ordered to free all the slaves. Napoleon reintroduced slavery. Finally, slavery was abolished in French colonies in 1848. In the next video, we will see clearly about Napoleon Bonaparte. So come on guys, let's just see now itself. Napoleon Bonaparte. The people readily accepted the coup of Napoleon Bonaparte in 1799. He is Napoleon Bonaparte. Modernism, they thought that he was a modernizer of France. He He made laws for protection of private property, uniform system of rates and measures provided by decimal system. He was defeated at Waterloo in 1950. So in the next video, we will see about this is the following video. So in the next video, we will see the slavery, the reign of terror, women revolution, and about Bonaparte very clearly. Thanks for watching. This is part 1.